So I have filled my pot with a little bit of salt, some water, and a whole bunch of red onion skins. I have saved these onion skins for the last year or so, and then I've poured water over them. I'm gonna let this boil until it comes to a rolling boil, just so that the color develops from the onion skins, and then we will put the eggs in to boil as well, to cook. So in the meantime, let's prep the eggs. As the water is boiling, I have prepared a few things. So I have the eggs over here, and I've always liked to use different colored eggs. I'll talk a little bit more about it in a minute. I have a bowl of water here. It's going to help the leaves, whatever leaves you use, going to help them stick to the eggs. And then I have some pieces of new stockings that I've cut up into squares, and some pieces of string that I'm going to use to tie them up. I'm using some parsley leaves, and I'm using the fronds from carrots today. And the reason why I like to use both white and brown eggs is it makes for a nice variety on the plate when the eggs are done, and so it makes the pattern stand out a little bit differently in terms of the colors when the product is finished. And also it reminds me of back home in Romania, where you get eggs in different shapes and colors, maybe from, you know, family or friends who are raising chickens, and you get eggs from all sorts of sources, especially for Easter. So it's a little reminder of home. So we take one of the leaves and we try to make sure that it's all flat, which is why water helps. I also like to keep the little stem because it adds to the design a little bit. I put it on one side. I know that many people like to use different kind of leaves. In Romania, of course, when I was a little girl, I remember using all sorts of various things from nature. You know, I would sort of forage around for different things. So what I've done is I've put the pattern on the one side of the piece of square stocking, and then on the opposite side is where I tie it up. I know that some people do it on the bottom of the egg, and that creates, because what happens is you're going to see, so I'm tying it up with string. What happens is that you're going to see sort of a star-shaped pattern from this little bunched up area. And so I like to have it on the opposite side, and even if the eggs roll around on the plate, on the display plate, it still looks kind of pretty. I know that some people like to put leaves on both sides of the egg, and that is also very wonderful, and then they do the tying at the bottom. So I have adjusted a little bit the leaf so that there's some definition in between the three areas. And this is just parsley I bought from the store, right? But as I said, as a little girl, I remember using all sorts of other ones. Last year, in fact, I was able to use some flowers that turned out really nice. Okay, so I'm gonna do the parsley on the white egg as well, just so we can see the difference in the color when it's all finished. So stick it on. You see how the water makes it really easy to stick to the egg, and then we're going to take the corners of the stocking and wrap it up like a little pouch. Gather all four corners, gather it pretty tight, but doesn't have to be crazy tight. The colorful water will get through no problem at all. So take the string and wrap it up. Just twist it around a few times. It should stay on. All right, so these ones, we'll see if we can create a little bit of a different kind of pattern with the carrot fronds. Maybe we'll do one. These are a little bit more difficult to work with when they're wet, actually, which reminds me that some of them you don't actually have to get wet. Let's see if we can put it facing the other way. And then it's gonna look a little bit like this. Let me see if I can separate it a little bit more so that there's some definition. It always is kind of a surprise how things are gonna turn out. Some things look really great before you put the eggs in the water, and then they don't turn out so well when you take the leaves off. And some things look not so amazing when you first put them on, and you think, well, we'll see what it's gonna turn out, and they end up looking amazing as a final product. So sort of amazing process, because every year it looks a little bit different. So our eggs are ready. And we are going to, I hear the water boiling, and so we're gonna put these in the pot with all the onion leaves. The water is boiling. The onion leaves have started to make the water really red. And one of the things that we're gonna add now is a little bit of vinegar, just using some plain white vinegar. And I'm honestly not sure when exactly in the cooking process you're supposed to add this, but we're just gonna make it up and say that this is just fine. I'm gonna give it a bit of a stir. So you can see the color of the liquid. And I'm gonna take the eggs one at a time. You know, in fact, you can actually use the low stalking piece to drop them in carefully without burning yourself. Comes in very handy. And then you can give them a bit of a stir to get them submerged. They don't have to be covered by the leaves. The water itself is doing its thing. I'm gonna boil these eggs for, there's different schools of thought, right? Some people do them for a very long period of time. Some people just boil them regularly. I'm gonna try and just do about 10 minutes or so. Not super long. We'll see how they turn out. Okay, we are ready to take out the eggs, and they are so hot. So I'm going to be using some tongs to find them first of all. Let's see. This always feels like a fishing expedition. Here we go. I'm going to take all of them out and let them cool for a few minutes. All right, so without burning my hand too much, I'm going to attempt to cut these pouches open. Usually just do here, and then it all sort of falls out. Sometimes I can, you see the star-shaped pattern over here where it was tied. I always think that's so pretty. Sometimes I'm able to use the stocking itself to peel off the leaf. In this case, it worked out rather nicely. So this is the way it turns out. And sometimes you can see more definition and sometimes you can see less. So this one is a bit less defined, but seriously, I think it's still very pretty. I know I'm biased, but I do love the way these turn out. So I love even, you know, the star shaped on the back so much. As a child, as a young child, my very telling memories are of using the bright colors that were the powders you mixed with water and then with some vinegar. So my early memories are of those very powerful chemical smells and the bright, beautiful colors, and that vinegary smell always sort of tells me it's Easter time. And in fact, I enjoyed doing that yesterday with my daughter. But this way was also part of what we used to do as a family when I was little, but it does take on more memory for me recently. So in my last, you know, in my formative, well, not formative, in my mature years, I remember doing this more. But there was a beautiful reel on Facebook just today that I saw about how people are dyeing eggs in Maramureș, in that part of the country. And it was so beautiful to see, you know, young people going around the area and collecting all sorts of beautiful leaves and flowers and just having a pile of different materials out to work with. You can tell here how different it looks. This is the brown egg and this is the white egg, and I've used parsley on both. So I like them both and I like the variety. I know some people prefer one or the other exclusively, and you can see also how the stem kind of adds to the design, in my opinion. It adds quite a lot. So they are ready except for one final thing, and that is we're going to wipe them down with some oil that I put on a little paper towel because that makes them so nice and shiny and just elevates them to a whole new look. So this is the way they look. This is with the parsley, white, brown egg, and this is with the carrot fronds. I think I might go out and find some more materials today because I've been inspired to try different things. But I hope this was at least a little bit helpful. Sometimes I've seen them come out a little bit more reddish instead of brownish, and I've wondered about that. I know that some people do put beets in their water, and I might just try doing that to see. Some people boil them for quite a long time, and they say that that adds to the richness of the color. Again, many ways of doing it. Every family sort of has their own way of doing it, but this is one of my favorite things about Easter.